come on in, and welcome to A Bridge to Wellness.
Welcome to A Bridge to Wellness. Real talk, real solutions, real faith. Welcome to another episode of A Bridge to Wellness, where we explore the challenges and victories of ministry leadership on tonight. I'm Pastor Fletch, and joining me is my co-host, Pastor Stephanie. Pastor Steph, how's it going today?
I'm doing great, and I am ready to dig into tonight's topic. It's something that's long overdue, and we are going to be talking about burnout in the ministry and among faith leaders. And to help us unpack this topic, we had to get two of our favorite people, Reverend Ray and Reverend BJ. So Reverend BJ is the pastor of Bethel in Oxnard, California. He's a married man, and he is the pastor's pastor. Y'all may not know that, but he's a pastor's pastor.
Well, in office right now.
He on duty right now. And then we also have Reverend Ray, who is dynamic in her own right and a firehouse of a preacher. And when I'm ready to retire, I'm going to be on her staff and at her church. Yes, I am. And so she comes to us with much experience as well. And she is the pastor of Prim. Is it Prim Chapel or just Prim?
Tabernacle.
That's right, Prim Tabernacle. And so, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be a part of this conversation.
We're so happy to be able to join you all, our favorite people, on today.
Hey, well, all right, y'all, let's get into it, y'all. Burnout is major. It's a major issue in ministry, especially in our community. Wouldn't you agree, Steph? Why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so I agree. Burnout is something major, especially in our community and amongst leaders, because you're wearing multiple hats, right? You're the pastor, as well as you're trying to live your life. You are, especially being in our age group, trying to just figure out and navigate things. And oftentimes the burnout is real. So trying to balance all of these things can often feel like a tug of war.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. It's tough to manage church expectations and your own personal expectations for where you feel your ministry is going. And so it's very important for us to just sometimes just take a stop out, go watch a movie, go to the gym, go do something. And so that way you will be able to present to the people your best self.
And then, y'all, it is also what we call the financial pressure of being a pastor and maintaining a household. And so one of the things I believe that society has failed to understand is that many pastors are not only managing their own household, but also trying to ensure that these churches are staying afloat, and we're making sacrifices just like many lay folks are making sacrifices. And it is truly a heavy load.
That is so true. So true, Reverend Ray. In my role as a pastor and even working in healthcare, I see how constant caregiving can take a toll. We're always pouring out, and if we're not careful, we're going to run empty. Whether it's in ministry or in healthcare, it can be physically, it can be emotionally, and spiritually draining. I mean, it's so easy to focus so much on serving others that self-care can get overlooked.
And then not even recognized, right? So you're always on the go, doing and serving others, and not even realizing that you're overwhelmed yourself. And so one thing we noticed that it can show up in ways that we least expected: irritability, no desires. We kind of talked about what depression is last week. It shows up in many ways. And so then you got to still get up there and preach. And you're like, Lord, I'm preaching for restoration from everybody else, but right now I need it for myself. And so that leads to moments of having compassion fatigue. And compassion fatigue is when you're caring about everything else but self. Because part of being a pastor is to be selfless, right? You got to be selfless some way or another. But also being a pastor, you are part of the first congregation to make sure that your relationship is right with God.
Mm-hmm. And it really starts it's that point where constantly giving to others, it just starts to drain your ability to really empathize or care.
Yeah.
And so, especially in ministry where you're constantly carrying not just your own burdens, but those of your own congregation, it can make you feel like there's nothing left to give. It's not just a job. It's a calling. It's a calling that often requires emotional and spiritual investment beyond our typical work hours. Amen.
Amen.
I mean, carrying on the burdens of your congregation, offering support, and constantly being present for others, they can leave you feeling depleted, y'all. I mean, the weight of the compassion fatigue is real, and it can make it seem like there's nothing left to give.
Exactly. For me, compassion fatigue shows up as emotional exhaustion. I can be seen as I'm very extroverted. But the older I get and the more experience I'm having, I have in life and just being around people, I found that I really can become very introverted as well. And so I just become just worn out, trying to be everything for everyone, trying to be there for my family, my children, my husband, and still having the mental capacity to be able to handle the load of my church. And there are many times where I feel as though my family takes the hit. They feel the lack and what I can offer them emotionally, because I have given everything to the church. So when I'm home, I just want to decompress. I don't want to be as involved as I could be. So and then eventually I felt like for a little bit I just becoming robotic and just kind of going through the motion. But I'm also the person who believes in faithing it until I make it, not really faking it. And then as I'm trying to push through, eventually it'll come, or eventually my body or my mind or my emotions are just going to say, you need to chill. And so for me, that's just where I see myself. And sometimes I do feel as though I'm just going through the motions.
Yeah, and it's tricky because as pastors, we're always expected to be on, and people don't understand and realize that we have limits as well. I remember about almost a year ago when we had a church flooded, the church that flooded almost the whole church on Sunday morning. We found out when the church is about to start. And so just trying to work through my own personal, irritations and all those things. And while people are all in my ear, like, hey, what are we going to do for service? And it became a lot. So I had to learn to just take a step back, breathe, and then just in that moment, just say, God, you know where I'm really feeling in this moment. So God, I need you to just take over, because I don't have the words and I can't. I've hit my limit. Right? And so it was in those moments that God spoke peace to me and said, hey, you're going to make it. It's going to be all right. And here a year later, I mean, we just finished getting everything back together, and we suffered no lack. And so it was really a process of me and my faith growing, as well as understanding that mentality that we always say, let go and let God. Right. And so that was really key to my evolution as a leader and growth.
Hey.
Wow. So their response, I know we're going to get to some rapid fire later on in our questions, but what you said, BJ, about growing in your faith in real time, like, it's not like it's just we so developed as leaders that we can never learn anything, or that this isn't truly a faith walk for us as well. Because when things happen, it's like, okay, Lord, I'm trying to lead, but right now I need you to show up for me, to give me the words and the guidance to even be able to be like this pillar for my congregation. And so thank you for highlighting that. That as we go through this journey and are understanding what compassion fatigue is and recognizing it, that it doesn't make you weak, it actually makes you human. When you care about something, it really is something that keeps you up at night. Y'all are parents, so when something going on with your child, you don't get no sleep, do you? I mean, if they got a project, I'm on TT duty right now, and my nephew told me at the last minute he had a project that was due today. I said, really? So now I'm up trying to do a project. He got his own learning style. We were tussling, but we got it done so that, you know, he could be successful in what he was trying to do with his education. But I feel like God does that with us as well, as that while we're frantic and pacing the floors and praying for everything else, God is still like, okay, I got you. Why you throwing this tantrum? Everything is all right. It's going to work out. And a year later, your church is still thriving. And as you said, there wasn't a lapse and God still provides. So that's super dope. I think that with this as well is taking a step back to recharge and regroup. Wouldn't you say that's what happened?
You know, I came across a statistic recently that really hit home. Lifeway research found that 23% of pastors say that they've had personal struggles with mental health, but nearly half, 49%, rarely or never even speak about it to their congregations. I mean, that tells you how real this is and how much we bottle up a lot inside.
Yeah, that's so telling, that because who do you really tell?
Right.
Who can you go to? I mean, we go to God in prayer.
Who can you run to?
Not who can you run to.
I'm just saying, like, who can you tell? Who can you talk?
Hey, Ricky Dillard said it.
Yeah, what can you do? And so, you know, in our community, we are trying to break the stigma of silence. Suffering in silence, it can't continue because our people aren't well. We aren't well. Because if you have this hindrance between you and receiving the word, you're going to be preaching from that lens. I know at least, I'm going to be gracious and say a year and a half, but it may have been longer. I was preaching through the lens of anger. So all my messages probably were like, dang, she on one today. Yeah, because that's how I felt. Right. But I thank God for deliverance. And now people of Quinn, I hope y'all receiving something different, you know. But we go through this and needing that relief, you know. So
true.
Yeah, and what you see is that the congregation knows, but they just might not say anything, right?
Yeah. No, they gonna be like, that was a wonderful sermon. Meanwhile,
and then they're gonna talk about you right after.
Oh, okay.
Well, see, mom won't talk about me. My mom will call me later and say, Pastor, you all right?
Now, see, mine, when we walk out the door, they'll shake my hand and say, Pastor, I'm praying for you. Right. Or they'll say, you know, they'll be like, you know, that wasn't the best one, but you know, we get through. But I will say the Sunday after the fires that started, I just didn't know how I was gonna make it through. And I just told them, I said, I need y'all to pray for y'all pastor. So I couldn't tell if I was just heavy from hormonal issues, if it was the fires, if it was his life. But I feel like that Sunday, everything was just like heavy. It was just heavy. And but it made me also understand why a lot of pastors or churches have lament services. So that's one of those things I'm going to learn this year to implement if need be in the future.
All right.
And it also shows the importance of having a good circle that you can talk to.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's you all.
So it's definitely y'all.
You know, so and we have a pretty good rapport of what we're able to communicate to each other, and so that helps because as someone who's in ministry, it helps to talk to other people who are in ministry, and who are around the same age, kind of think the same as you, and so those things kind of help you process. Sometimes, I mean, y'all are good for letting everybody know they tripping. So
Won't they?
And so that's sometimes what people need. And then that helps.
And I think what's critical about that as well is that you should be able to confide in your group of people that you can talk to, and there's no there's no envy there. There's no regret against one another. It's just love and support as we help journey through this process together.
What's that saying? We listen and we don't judge.
We listen and we
don't
judge.
Y'all know that's a lie.
But we don't talk about you though. But
no, we judge, talk about each other, but we're all in the group. Like we check each other in the group. That's what I like, is that I can tell y'all the truth and y'all gonna check me in the group. If I'm tripping, y'all gonna check me in the group. If I'm not tripping, y'all gonna tell me I'm not tripping. So I'm good with that.
Well, okay, y'all. Let's shift to solutions, which I guess we've already kind of led into that. How do we break the cycle of burnout beyond having that group that you can talk to?
Delegation. Listen, y'all, this has been a game changer for me. Delegation has been a game changer for me. When I first got to Prim, I knew my congregation was much older, so I was just focused on, you know what, Ray, you can do it. You don't got to bother them to do everything. You do it. And then two, I led with the mentality that I'm not going to ask them to do something that I wouldn't do. And so I never realized how I did so much. We did a lot my first year just to get the house in order. But now that going into my second year, I'm at my peak of what I can handle. And so I've been doing a better job of communicating, delegating, but also giving grace, because they're learning me, I'm learning them. And they're feeling open to tell me now, like, okay, what they can and cannot handle. And then I'm just, I'm learning everyone's gifts and talents. And I've learned to trust others to handle tasks, so I'm not carrying everything on my own. Like, mother, wife, got a full-time job, pastoring, and then my side business. So, I'm like that. I'm a hustle, but I'm also realizing that I have to know how to scale my workload so that I'm not doing so much that I'm not able to prepare my message on Sunday, because that's my main purpose. I need to be able to have time to settle myself and prepare for Sunday, and not on a Saturday night.
Listen, the God talks to most of us on a Saturday night.
Yes, the most.
In the midnight
hour. We won't give away the secrets. We won't give away the secrets. It's also good to create good systems. And I think that will have a lot to do with managing our stress level. Is creating good systems so that we know where things are. And so most of the time in most of the church we're going to pastor, that there have been breakdowns in systems. And so we have to identify that and then make systems work for us, right? We know what our own personal issues are and what we like and what we don't like. So we have to make sure we set those systems up so that we can be as effective as we can be, and the people can be as effective as they can be. And then you have to learn to say no. Like, that's one of my problems. I say yes to everything. And so it's about letting people know, hey, I've hit my max, like as Ray said, and then being comfortable in allowing people to do what God's called them to do. And it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard lesson that we're still learning, even here. This is my 6th year here. I've been pastoring now for 10 years, and it's still a daily process.
Yep, it's a daily process, and I don't say yes to everything, but on a Sunday, I say yes to any, and you could ask me anything on a Sunday. I'm like, yes, that's a great idea. And I don't know if it's because the spirit on you're not really like present. I mean, of course you're present. I'm not saying that, but like, you could probably get one over on me on a Sunday. So I've let my members know, like, setting those barriers, like, okay, like, let's not make decisions on a Sunday because I'm going to forget. Don't hand me anything when I'm walking because I'm going to lose it. So like, just let's revisit this. So implementing those those barriers, as well as what's been helpful for me to with the burnout is finding other hobbies. I was taking pool. I'm a hobby girl. Like I will find a new hobby quickly. I take pool lessons. I'm training for a half marathon. Doing all kind of things. Going to take up crocheting. I don't know what I'm crocheting, but with these storms, snowstorms, somebody go get a hat or a coaster or something.
Let me get a bean.
But doing things that are just kind of aimless, right? Because so much is intense. We really need to kind of balance those things out. Some find therapy, but there are a lot of things that are therapeutic that we can use to enhance our mental states.
See, family time has really been my anchor. Reminds me of what really matters. And I've also started even taking personal retreats to reset and refocus because I just need that space for me. I mean, I don't know if that's attributed growing up as the only child, but I think that's a big part of it because I like my time and I don't have a lot of time for me. So often I do take here and there moments to retreat away for self reflection.
Well, nothing is wrong with me time or retreat. Shameless plug for the Rayak retreat that's coming up. Information coming soon. Um, but let's get into some rapid fire. Let's really know what's going on in y'all brains. So my first question is, um, what do you wish people knew about being a pastor?
Mm.
Man. Ooh, there's so much.
Do we want them to know? No, go ahead.
No, they need to know.
Yeah.
I wish people would understand that pastors, y'all, we are human too. We have struggles, insecurities, and days when we feel inadequate. As a woman pastor, we got hormonal issues. If we got to deal with that. You still have to think about being a wife as a pastor, and you have a husband who got needs. You got children who got needs. You have everything. It's a lot to manage, and you have a church who has needs, and so then you have your own personal needs. So it's trying to manage what that looks like, and also really understanding how to be the pastor that the congregation needs and your family needs. So it's a lot of human error that happens in the process. And I don't ever believe that you will ever arrive, but I do believe that there will be a time where you'll be able to at least adjust a little bit better over time. But social media will get you caught up in saying something. You'd be like, look back and be like, hold on, why I post this? And it's those. And now I have to say to myself, if it's after 11, 12 o'clock, I'm not reposting nothing. I'm not posting no message because there's no telling what I'm going to feel comfortable saying about something that I'm feeling at that moment. So we humans, we make errors, we make mistakes, but we thank God for grace.
Thank God.
And that's why you don't see me posting at all. I know what's going on.
But you're real introverted, BJ. So most people would expect you never to post.
Yeah, I know it all though. I know what's going on. And I would say too is that ministry isn't just a 9 to 5 job. It's something that consumes your life. It's something that requires a lot of time management. Even though I'm full time at the church, like I said, I have 3 kids. I have a wife, and now in that, my daughter is a cheerleader and plays basketball. My son plays basketball. So like, I think it was like last week.
big part of it because I like my time and I don't have a lot of time for me. So often I do take here and there moments to retreat away for self-reflection.
Well, nothing is wrong with me time or retreat. Shameless plug for the Rayak retreat that's coming up. More information coming soon. Um, but let's get into some rapid fire. Let's really know what's going on in y'all brains. So my first question is, um, what do you wish people knew about being a pastor?
Mm.
Man. Ooh, there's so much.
Do we want them to know? No, go ahead.
No, they need to know.
Yeah.
I wish people would understand that pastors, y'all, we are human too. We have struggles, insecurities, and days when we feel inadequate. As a woman pastor, we got hormonal issues. If we got to deal with that. You still have to think about being a wife as a pastor, and you have a husband who got needs, you got children who got needs, you have everything. It's a lot to manage, and you have a church who has needs, and so then you have your own personal needs. So it's trying to manage what that looks like, and then also really understanding how to be the pastor that the congregation needs and your family needs. So it's a lot of human error that happens in the process. And I don't ever believe that you will ever arrive, but I do believe that there will be a time where you'll be able to at least adjust a little bit better over time. But social media will get you caught up in saying something. You'd be like, look back and be like, hold on, why I post this? And it's those, and now I have to say to myself, if it's after 11, 12 o'clock, I'm not reposting nothing. I'm not posting no message, because there's no telling what I'm going to feel comfortable saying about something that I'm feeling at that moment. So we humans, we make errors, we make mistakes, but we thank God for grace.
Thank God.
And that's why you don't see me posting at all. I know what's going on.
You're real introverted, BJ. So most people would expect you never to post.
Yeah, I know it all. Though. I know what's going on. And I would say too is that ministry isn't just a 9-to-5 job. It's something that consumes your life. It's something that requires a lot of time management. Even though I'm here full time at the church, like I said, I have 3 kids. I have a wife, and now in that, my daughter is a cheerleader and plays basketball. My son plays basketball. So I think it was like last week, I had to get off work early. I had to leave church early at like 3 because they had games and practices and all that. And so you have to remember, like, you still got to be somebody's husband, because by that time I'm no good. And so it doesn't stop. And so I think some people have to, I would say, practice a little bit more grace. And understanding, as well as just go ahead and be 100 with the pastor. Like, hey, I see that you're struggling in this area. Is it all right if I help you? Or I think that I can help unload some of this that you're doing. And I think that those things help as well. And then sometimes just say, hey, you're doing a good job. I mean, that goes a long way. Just being say, hey, we're praying for you. We're thinking of you. Keep up the good work. Even the little things as even, that was a good sermon. Those things go a long way. Even if it might not have been a good one, but just to hear somebody else say it makes you feel a little bit, it makes you feel good. And so you just have to make sure that you continue to take time out for you as well, because at the end of the day, as Ray said, and we've said already, that we're all human. And so I think we know a lot of people who burnt out or who are in the process of burning out. And so it's important to just continue to uplift each other and remind everybody, hey, keep up the good work, keep going, and do things that will take your mind off of church stuff. Because as a pastor, that's all you think about. It consumes you. You thinking about church.
Listen, my wife will tell you that's how he thinking about talking about his church, and I'm just like, it's embedded within us as pastors. I mean, just how we live, and so like I really agree with you, Reverend BJ, about this. But then there's that other side of me that's like, what time? How can I put in this time for setting stuff aside from church, or even just allowing enough family time and then setting yourself aside from that? Where's the time? I know I ask myself this like all the time, and so that's something I know for me that I'm battling and that I need to try to focus on a little better is finding that time, making that time, because we make time for what we want to make time for, right?
I think it's something that it's like our Christian growth is something that we always strive to perfect, but most times we'll probably never perfect it, but we got to at least try.
Yeah.
But I also feel as though when I see a lot of the older pastors who are getting closer to their retirements, and I see how, no offense, but a lot of them are.
They seem happy, don't they?
No, they seem disgruntled. They're bothered. They're frustrated. They feel as though things didn't happen in their careers, and it's like when you see some of those who are leaving, the lay folks. We were just talking yesterday about them. Retiring. One lady, and she was like, "Yes, I was so happy. My last 3 months, I was just joyful." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, man, why don't we ever see that in the church? I mean, I've seen it. Very few who I've seen folks happily go out and excited about retiring and what's next, but the majority of the pastors I've seen, it just seems so weighted down, so heavy, and just so disgruntled. And when you get up there in age, I don't want to be that. So my goal is to learn my boundaries, know where I'm tapped out, and where can I go next. And 75 will not be my end goal. And so I'm praying we all are learning our own boundaries.
And I think something you said, maybe their disposition is due to ministry and pastoring being a lonely road.
Yeah.
It's a lonely road. Even having the support of all of you is still a lonely road. And you don't really feel like you fit in too many places, because it's like, okay, your mind is always going. You've now attached your faith to your church's success, and like just all of these things. You're always in your thoughts of trying to balance the things, and the longer you're doing it, the more the weight that you're carrying, the burdens. And if we don't find a way to release it, you can keep pouring something into something, but it's going to overflow. And BJ, as you said, we've actively watched people burn out in real time, and just have gone about our business. So in that, my next question is, well, you got something?
I do, though, because that it's all about that isolation that we feel, and how people often put us on a pedestal. Being put on that pedestal can feel quite isolated. I often struggle with this because being in the pastoral role and its isolation, people often see pastors and spiritual leaders that have everything together. We got it all together, which is placing us on this pedestal, which is creates a distance, right? The expectation is to always be strong, to always have the right answers, to never show any vulnerability. And that can make it difficult to find spaces where you can be your authentic self without judgment. I'll be the first to let you know that I absolutely love live music. And whether it's going to the Kaufman Theater of Performing Arts, or whether it's going to listen to live music at a bar, because that's where the good music is. I will go there too, because that's my self-care.
And you're going to dance. Y'all should see.
And I make dance
a little bit too. Dance.
But that's me.
We listen and we don't judge.
We listen and we don't judge.
And we don't judge. But it's building relationships outside the church even. of the church context can also be refreshing. And so having friends who see you beyond your pastoral role, beyond that, and simply as a person can provide you with a much needed balance and encouragement.
Yeah, my thing is a little different. Since growing up as a pastor's kid, church is really all I know. And so it is very difficult sometimes to kind of separate the two.
Mm-hmm. Listen, it's funny you said that because I was church homies. We had a birthday celebration, right? And so it's, secular environment, karaoke. Some of those watching may know who I'm talking about. And so, they jam. And, when you're mature in Christ, you can be able to listen to music and not be influenced by it. So I'll put it like that. But, if it's the jam, say those particulars that you hear, and it was that hardcore karaoke, and they were like, bop, 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 beep, 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 beep. And I was like, ooh, this is so not holy. And I just couldn't help it.
Not you had to pull your suit jacket close.
Okay.
Like, oh my God.
I was like, ooh. But, I was there nonetheless, and it was all in jokes and fun, but still, I was still like, oh my gosh, it's a little intense for me. And I'm supposed to be this leader and pastor, should I be here? Is it okay? But they were my family, and we were able to understand each other, being ourselves in that space. So yeah, I feel you, Reverend BJ.
And so in segueing into it, I'm gonna skip past one of the questions and go to this question. Do you think that it's hard being a young adult and being a pastor?
Yeah.
And answer what you're comfortable with answering.
I would say yeah.
Okay.
Who gonna go first?
Oh, I'll let BJ, because baby.
BJ gonna set the tone.
They always make me go first, y'all.
Because you're the
yes, your daddy has set you up to be the example for us. So we need you to lead the way, and we gonna fall. I'm gonna try to follow.
So for me, I accepted my call about 21, and so with that does come a level of, as kind of Fletch said, but you can't really be normal per se, especially during those times. But it is very difficult. I think that the age difference does make a difference. And then I'm also able to be a bridge in between generations, because I'm able to see both sides and then try to meet them. Mm-hmm. So it has its pluses and it has its minuses. You're trying to manage people who are old enough, who you're technically your parents or grandparents' ages. And so that makes it the line a little difficult sometimes, but people have been very good about it. And it creates, I can see where at some places it creates tension. Not here. Mm-hmm. Let me throw that out there.
Yeah, I'll go next. I think that it can be difficult since we've thrown our call ages. I accepted my call at 26, but I knew at 17. So imagine having to go through college and all of this life, and you knowing that there is something different about you, as you said, Reverend Fletch, the environments that you're in, the way you're engaging, and you're just like, okay. And so I think that it's difficult because at our age, we're still navigating life to figure out who we are, as well as trying to meet the expectation of the call and the charge that we have. And so trying to navigate that journey is difficult. As BJ said, I've come across, believers who have been welcoming. Some have challenged. But I think also in seeing the seriousness that I have about God and about God's people, I think has worked in this process, because I take seriously everything that I do when it comes to God. Like it's a whole lot of things I play about, but I don't play church. Exactly. Like I'm real serious about church. And so I think that translates and has helped along the way. But continue to give me grace because I'm learning. But I believe walking in the ways in which God is having me to walk are going to make everything around us better.
I think it's something that you fight every day, because part of your mind thinks one way, and part of your mind thinks the other way, and so it's always a daily struggle.
Mm-hmm.
With
I actually am curious as to why that is one piece they probably should have introduced to us in Board of Examiners.
What?
I feel like, regardless, as a young adult pastor, whatever appointment you get, you are going to be tried. You know, there are going to be those, you may have people that show more grace than, you know, whatnot, but regardless, because of your age, you're going to be tried. I mean, it's inevitable. And it's something, I don't know where it's going to come out one day. Y'all going to see it hopefully this year. I'm working on this article about pastoring senior congregations. And so it's been quite interesting and quite an experience, because I grew up on my grandma's hip. And she was the stewardess of the church. She was a Sunday school teacher. She played the piano for the Sunday school. And when I say I knew church, I knew church. So like, I'm helping to set up paraments on the pulpit for Sunday worship and knowing how it's supposed to be going down. It can also feel like there's added pressure to prove yourself, especially when people are watching to see if you'll fall.
I think that's a good point, because I definitely feel this. Something I used to tell Ray about all the time. Is that since I was one of the first ones out of the gate, it was really important for me to make sure that I did what I was supposed to do to make space and room for everybody else. You know, so the Rays, you know, Stephanie and I started at the same time. So the Fletchers, you know, everybody else that started after us. It was really important for me to make sure that I did what I needed to do to be an effective minister, so that I can continue to make space for everyone else to come behind. So that was a good point.
And if I just add my little 2 cents. So, you know, Stephanie says she knew her call at 17. Y'all, I accepted the call at 17. Ooh. And so, you know, I did the initial sermon in November 2023. And just to know that, you know, it's been that long and I've made so many mistakes. And the issue, I think I'm happy that.
Right, what Matthew? You said November 23?
2023?
No, 2003. I said 2003.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You did.
Now, I know I ain't that great, but okay, go ahead, friend.
Be your own friend.
This is why they clutch y'all. This is why this is my community. This is my community.
We should make sure nobody's robbing the cradle.
I was so serious.
Right.
I was into the whole deal.
Go ahead.
But baby, I got documentation to support.
Oh, got the papers to
you know, we as AMEs, they'd be like, well, let me see the papers. Mm-hmm. And so proof. So in 2003, November 2003, it was my senior year in high school. Going through and being told that, oh, you don't need to go to prom because you went to prom last year and you're preaching on. I'm like, bye. I still went to prom, bought my little dress. The year prior was more fancy than the year I went. But I had to go through college, still living it up. People knowing Carl the priest, still living it up, doing whatever. I'm just still trying to find the balance. 1 minute, one extreme to the next. Everyone's telling you how to live, how to dress. I'm like 17 years old with a 2-piece suit on, slips and low pump. I'm like, I'm looking good and settled, and then going to college, trying to figure out how to be a college student, a pastor. But yet I'm at, I'm in the club on Saturday and on the weekends, even during the week, you're in college. So you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure out how to make it all work, and getting married young and everything. And then now it's at this stage of pastoring. I am happy that I went through what I went through and I started young, because I feel like it has my mindset a lot more focused on what a pastor needs. And I've lived and I've done the things I wanted to do. But even like being in the actual role as a pastor, you are challenged. I walked into, I think, my first meet and greet at Prim, and I had on one of my ragged jeans, and one of my members, he went ham. He was like, what happened to the pastors who look like pastors, who dress like pastors, who do this and do that? The people come to church with just anything on, and nobody dressed up. He went ham. And I was like, you know what? I said, guess what? you ain't got to worry about me wearing these jeans again. I said, you'll never come for me with these jeans. And I
now you back to the 2-piece suits.
No.
She conformed.
Robes.
I found the boundaries.
I also think it's important to be authentic too.
Right. So I'm learning what works for me. And what works for me is you will not catch me in a robe every Sunday. But I also recognize that my people are much older. And so I'm going to make sure they're pleased with their pastor. Now, there are times when I'm going to dress and conform, and there are times when I'm just going to be on a hoodie and a t-shirt and some Jordans. And so I've given both. So what I'm saying, go ahead.
A question for you though. Mm-hmm. Has anybody ever told you as a young adult pastor that you need to watch how you dress because they won't take you seriously?
Yeah.
Well, I've been told that you're too curvy to be wearing jeans or pants in the pulpit. I look at them and I was like, well, I don't care if I got on the burlap sack, you're gonna be able to see something. And so it is what it is. I have to learn how to be authentic to myself, but also I am a firm believer that when I get up in the morning, I let the Holy Spirit dress me. And that may sound deep, y'all, but if I feel convicted, I'm gonna take it off. Like, if I don't feel comfortable, I'm gonna take it off. And I said, that's the Holy Spirit. And so for me, my biggest issue with being a young adult pastor has to be my look. They always have something to say about me changing my hair or my nails or, that's really it. It's my hair, my nails, my makeup, and my dress. It's never my leadership because they've been happy with my leadership. It's just been the stuff that I'm not going to change.
Always going to be something.
Always something. But not now. Let me say yes, y'all. My people are dope. I'm the youngest pastor they've ever had. I'm the second pastor who's come with kids, but young kids. And then I'm the third woman pastor they've ever had. So I'm standing on some good shoulders, but I have to say, because of all that they've been through, they're very happy with where we are going in the direction and understanding the need for the younger folks.
And they told me they were happy I talked to someone.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm glad that our churches are happy.
I love my church. HSP.
I love my church too. Absolutely. Right. I was just about to say, okay, I'm gonna have to talk to my members about getting some hand signs so we can do it too at mid-year. But it's been wonderful, like talking to y'all outside of normal conversation, but that others can actually hear like the passion and things that we have. Like a lot of times they see us moving and grooving in different spaces, but not truly hear our voices. So I'm glad that we've been able to kind of put something out into the atmosphere that hopefully encourages others that may find themselves in a season of just needing connection to help prevent the burnout. And so is there any last minute advice that we would give anybody before we get off the podcast? Is that what it's called, podcast? I was going to say call. I've been on prayer call for about 15 days. We don't even know what day we on, but
we're on 14. I know that. 14.
Amen.
I will say that the last thing I will leave is don't wait until it's too late to ask for help. Whether it's therapy, a mentor, a friend, reach out, say something. That's why I'm so grateful for my community and recognizing what my community is. And so I want to make sure that we all know that there's somebody. And if you don't have someone, text me and I'll be of help. But if you don't want the real, no chaser, don't reach out.
Chaser.
No chaser, baby, because you ain't getting no chaser. So I would say I'm praying that as leaders, we learn how to get over our own stuff, get rid of our stuff. Heal on our stuff, and do not use the pulpit as a means of being shady, nasty, throwing flap at people. It's ignorant, it's selfish, and it does not bring people to the Lord. So if you're going to be a leader, take accountability of the stuff that you have, get the help you need, and be open to healing. Or you may end up finding yourself busting hell door wide open for leading somebody else. Thinking you leading somebody else to deliverance.
Wow.
Said no chaser.
No chaser. No, we listen and we don't judge.
Don't come to us if you really don't want to know the truth.
Lead into your community, y'all.
Yeah, I would say Know your boundaries. And as Ray said, don't be afraid to ask for help. The warning signs are always there when we don't want it to be where it's too late to where we realize that someone had a problem and we didn't answer it and we didn't come to their rescue.
That's it. Also, I'd like to say, just remember you're human. You can't pour from an empty cup, and just take care of yourself. Find your rhythm and pace yourself. That's it. Because life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Ooh, I felt convicted.
This was such an important conversation. I hope it encourages everyone listening to prioritize their well-being.
Absolutely. And remember that rest is not weakness. It is essential.
And thank you all for having me. It was such a pleasure, a blessing, and I feel so special.
Yeah, we really appreciate you all having us on. And we look forward to more things like this in the future.
Thanks for tuning in to A Bridge to Wellness. We will catch you all next time, and stay blessed.
See ya.
Peace.
Bye.